to you is about anybody else. It's about you and your interpretation of what's happening. So again, that goes back to what we call the thought model, right?
Yeah.
So you have an event that occurs in your life, and then you have a thought around that event. So it's the thought around the event that actually creates your result. It's not the event. So let's just say your boyfriend broke up with you and you're devastated, right? And your thoughts are, I'm not worthy. I'm no good. No one will ever love me, right? And some of those could be core beliefs that come from childhood, right? Especially if you grew up in a family that, had issues and trauma. So those are pretty accurate thoughts for people that have experienced that trauma and dysfunction in their life. So it's important to be able to change those thoughts. So the boyfriend broke up with me. Perhaps you could think, this wasn't the right relationship for me. The right one is going to come along. Someone who meets me where I am and is at the same level as me, and we can support each other and be successful. So when you have that kind of a thinking around my boyfriend broke up with me, you're going to be a happier person. You're going to start to go out and do things that fulfill you. And that's how you'll meet somebody new versus I'm worthless. I'm no good. I sit in front of the TV and eat a pint of ice cream and a bag of chips, and I gain weight and I spiral down. So this is how we're able to help you change and to become more positive and to have success in your life.
Right. Beautiful. I love how, because everything comes back to the mind. Everything comes back to the mind. And how am I thinking about this event? What kind of meaning am I giving it? How can I look at this differently? How can this be more empowering for me? And I find that just to be so beautiful. One of the things you did in your program is where you had a raspberry and you just have this relationship with the raspberry before you ever eat it, which is, I believe, totally just practicing that mindful eating, that look, instead of just popping, which I do tend to do, blueberries or raspberries, right? Just grab a handful and pop them in. But when you take that moment and you look at it and just really look at what it is, and it's like it puts you in a completely different energetic state, because you are, well, for one, you're present, you're mindful of what it is that you're eating, but there's this appreciation that I know for myself, and I guess I can only speak for myself, that there's just times that I'm very much not mindful in what I'm eating. It's just like, I have to eat this because I need to rush off to this other thing. And I know that's something you talk about in the course, which I have been much more present with. I will sit down and eat when I have the time to sit down and eat. And if I don't eat my lunch at noon, I have a feeling that I'm going to be okay if my lunch doesn't come around until 3 o'clock. I don't think I'm going to starve to death. But to be present with that. And can you just share with that, like just that little exercise of being with the raspberry, what that does to the mind itself? How does that affect the mind?
So when you mindfully eat, and especially like our exercise with the raspberry, and yeah, I mean, I can remember a story that my father told me when I was a child, probably about 4 years old. He would give us M&Ms, and he would put a few in my hand and a few in my sister's hand. And I was the type of person that I would just, boom, throw the whole handful in my mouth. And then I would run past my sister because she would look at hers, and I'd grab them out of her hand and throw hers in my mouth. And then she would start crying. So I was not eating M&Ms very mindfully at the age of 4.
Yeah.
And I've gotten much better in my older years now. And so mindful eating really is about tasting your food. And so it's about looking at it. And again, the 5 senses, the sight, the smell, the taste, these things come into play when you eat. So it's important to sit down and really look at your food, enjoy it through your senses. And another thing that's important is that after the first few bites, our taste buds get tired. So I'd like you, when you eat, to sit down, have a few bites, and then notice, is the fourth and fifth and sixth bite, does it taste as good as the first few bites? And so if the answer is no, then perhaps you may not need to eat all the food in front of you, right? I like to say, fill yourself up to about 75%, and then wait 10 minutes and see, do I really need to eat the rest of the food on my plate? And again, that's about sensing when you've had enough, right? When you feel your stomach is full, connecting with the body. This is another huge part of mindful eating, is being able to connect with the body. Most of us live in our heads from the neck up. And I like to call that's like our control tower, like at the airport, that gives directions to everybody, but they're really not down on the ground with the plane. Right. So you're not really down in your body. You're up in your control tower that says, I have to eat, I have to finish my food, right? Because my mom told me if I didn't finish my food, there's poor kids starving in Africa, or whatever your parents said. Right? So it's important to feel into your body and learn to tune into the satiety of your body, right? And sense, again, we go back to the innate intelligence of the body, and sense when you've eaten the right nutrients. If you can listen to the body, you can connect what you need to eat. Like, I don't know if you've ever had a craving and I really want a banana today. Well, perhaps your body is telling you, we need potassium. Get that banana on board. Or maybe I really feel like having a tangerine. Well, that's full of vitamin C. Maybe you're needing vitamin C. So it's important to listen, slow down, and listen to your body and choose your foods wisely. I call that inner and outer intelligence. So the inner intelligence is about listening to the body, while the outer intelligence is learning about the nutrients in food and what nutrients are in what foods. And when you feel like eating those foods, understanding what it is you need, because you want to eat to nourish and sustain your body, to have energy and vitality.
Absolutely. Wow. I love your program.
Oh,
Just that
you.
part of it understanding food on such, and again, I'm going to go back and say that because it's not this does not stay at the diet. This does not stay at your own personal diet or your own personal body image. It flows into every aspect of your life. It's such a well-rounded program that you have, Joanne. And as we start to bring this in for a landing, please tell the listeners, how do they get in touch with you? So I know that you offer a consultation, and so they can have more information about Ditch the Diet for Life, because we are out of time again. It's incredible. I don't know how this is happening, but we're out of time again. So how do they get in touch with you and learn more about your program?
They can go to my website. I have a really comprehensive website. It's Joanne, Joanne, King, King, counseling, counseling.com, Joanne King Counseling. And there you can find information in regard to Ditch the Diet. You can find information on counseling and mindfulness. And I have, like I said, I have a free 20-minute consultation where I can talk with people to see what's happening with them and if I'd be a good fit to help them.
Yeah. Well, I know you personally, and I can say you are 100% authentic, non-judgmental. You come from the heart, you teach from the heart, and you truly have your client's best interest in your heart, and you show that. A person just cannot miss that. So I highly recommend you and your program. I find you beautifully wonderful, and you are a treasure in my life, and I'm so grateful that I get to call you my friend. As well
ditto.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. I feel the same way about you, Nada. I'm very respectful of what you do and who you are as a person.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Joanne. I appreciate that. And listeners, please, if you did not catch Joanne's information, no worries. It will be in the show notes. And if you missed the first episode, please go back and listen to that. Joanne has wonderful words of wisdom in both of these episodes. And again, thank you so much, Joanne. It's my honor to have you. And I'm very grateful for you being here on the show with me today.
Oh, thank you. Aloha and a hui ho. See you soon, Nada.
Hui ho. And to the listeners, much love. Have a beautiful week. And we will be back next week with a brand new show. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for spending time with us today. Please go to nadahogan.com for show notes and other information you can use right away. If you like what you heard here, please subscribe to our show and don't forget to rate and review right there on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you get your shows. And don't forget to tell your friends about it. We'll see you next week.